guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So just here to do a little bit more with my altered book that we've been working on using the butterfly house kit. So it's coming together quite well. We've done quite a lot in it. So if we just kind of plough straight in, because I'm keen to kind of just crack on really. So I thought what we'd do is just pop this pocket, which we made in another video, into this page. Now, as you can see, this page has got some kind of torn bits here, which unfortunately happened when obviously the paint wasn't quite dry and the pages kind of, stuck together. And also the glue was very, very wet when I was kind of gluing the pages together. So this has got quite a kind of lumpy effect on this page. So what I'm hoping is that when we kind of pop this pocket down, that we're going to manage to kind of cover up, obviously, a lot of this kind of lumpy kind of effect. And then what we'll do is kind of just decorate around these couple of pages with a couple of the kind of fussy cut pieces, just to cover up, where we've got these, kind of little bits that I've kind of torn from the page. So, I guess really it's just kind of an exercise in, don't ever panic, because things can be kind of got around and kind of covered up really. So I'm just having a look to see what we've got. Obviously we've got these quite large flowers, which I've cut out already. I've got just a whole bunch of pieces that I've already fussy cut, so that you don't have to be watching me doing that, because obviously that's really not much fun for anybody. So just kind of having a look to decide which piece to kind of use. I mean, this piece is really quite nice because, as you can see, it's a kind of really nice kind of curved piece. The only thing is this doesn't really kind of cover up the whole of the torn piece. So I'm just having a look to see what else I've got. Don't know whether that's a slightly bigger version. Might be the same size. You have to excuse all the noise, I'm afraid, because it is in fact obviously the weekend. So my daughter is downstairs making a whole bunch of noise, so I do apologise for that. But I wanted to crack on and do a video because I've been really quite busy lately with kind of various things, and my son has finally finished his GCSEs, so has kind of left school. So he's kind of around a bit more, and obviously I'm wanting to kind of spend a bit of time with him really. So kind of I haven't been able to do videos quite so much. So, I wanted to kind of utilise this time whilst my husband's at home and kind of, look after my daughter. And then I can obviously kind of get on and do a couple of videos. So, right, so I'm going to probably go for this one. So what I'm going to do is just kind of adjust it so as I'm covering up as much as I possibly can of the kind of torn pieces. So if I kind of glue it like that, so I'll just take my glue, I just love having kind of tons of pieces to be able to play with, and they're always great for kind of covering up either kind of just empty spaces where sometimes a page looks a little bit too plain or boring. I think they're really handy for tying pages together, kind of the continuity of like a double page. Sometimes they're really kind of, pretty handy for that kind of thing. And yeah, I just think they're kind of really, really useful to have lots of little bits and pieces to kind of play with. So the more the better, I think. So then I'm just going to pop this butterfly down like that. Okay, so for me that looks fine. I've managed to kind of cover up that on that side of the page quite nicely. So then what I'm going to do is obviously kind of pop this down here, and then I've got some fabric ruffles here that are ready made. I'll just see whether we might like to have one kind of at the bottom of this page, just to kind of finish it off. Just having a look to see what coloured one would kind of be best. you know, or maybe we don't need one at all, but we'll just have a bit of a play kind of and see. I mean, that one's quite a nice colour. I feel like it's going a little bit kind of everything in the centre, which I'm not so keen on that kind of effect. So let's just have a look here. Oh, I've got this nice pale green one. That's nice, isn't it? So what we could do is kind of move this slightly back and kind of have this more over to the edge, or the other way around. No, we're going to have it that way around. So I'm just going to glue this on. I'm just going to use hot glue for this because it's nice and speedy, you know, and obviously I don't want to kind of have to wait around for this to dry whilst I'm doing my video. So just going to glue down on those 3 sides so as we have it as a kind of side loading pocket, and we'll just pop it kind of here like that. Make sure it's kind of pressed down in all those places, obviously, you know, particularly here where that page has got that kind of raised section. Hope that I'm in frame actually. I'm just going to check that I am. Yeah, hopefully. Right. I'm just going to cut off some of these excess threads from the ruffle, because I mean, I'm all for threads, but sometimes it's just ridiculous. Right, so we've got this little ruffle here, and we're just going to kind of place this kind of just there, kind of, you know, just lopsided kind of on the page. So that looks really nice, I think. So I'm just going to apply the glue, I think, to the ruffle itself, so as I get it, you know, can put it in the right place. So just pop that down. Because obviously, you know, I'm normally not so fussy, but because I wanted to cover up just that kind of kink in the page there. So there we go. Right, so now all I want to do on this page, because we're doing that kind of, you know, decorated page and a plain plainer page over the other side, I just want to kind of just pop something on here where we're just then covering up where that torn kind of piece is. So I'm just having a look through, seeing what's going to kind of look best really with that. Let's just have a look. So we could have those big flowers. Could have this. I mean, I've got a whole abundance of stuff here. I've got this offcut of some of the background pages that we've used. I wonder whether I could kind of just tear kind of a strip, you know, kind of, and have it down like a bit of a banner. I mean, this obviously is quite nice because it's got the same butterfly. The only thing is it's going to have to be kind of sideways on if I do that, so that's maybe not the ideal piece really to use. I've got this journaling card, which again has got that same butterfly, so that's kind of nice. I'm really hunting for a butterfly really more, I think, so I might have to just cut one out. I don't think I've actually got one ready cut, so bear with me for a moment while I just cut one out. So I might go for this one. No, that's not going to cover up all that much of that, so let me just do this for a moment. So if I were to cut that out, I could probably cover this piece up and we'd have this piece up here. So I'm going to cut this butterfly out just because I can't be bothered to go through, you know, looking for a butterfly that's not on a background, if you see what I mean. You know, a butterfly for fussy cutting, because I don't want to kind of waste all of you's time. So I will just cut it straight out from this piece. Like that. Oops. Oh, come on. Come on. Okay. So I've got that one. In fact, let me just cut here because I've just got a little bit of blue. Right. So, I mean, that one covers that quite well. And then I could have a word. I've got the word happiness here. So let's just see if I kind of fussy cut around that. How that would look. Might not look very good at all, but we'll just have a look and see. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, as they say. So I hope everyone's doing well. Hope you're all having a good day, getting some crafting time in. I haven't really got anything exciting to report, as I say, just been quite kind of busy of late, really, so perhaps we'll have it like that. I think we'll do that. So actually, sorry, just before I do that, I've just spotted this one, which I wonder whether that might look better up there. So I'm just going to fussy cut that one round. I listened to a brilliant podcast the other day. It was, I think I've mentioned before that I've been listening to the Desert Island Disc podcasts. So listened to one the other day with the author Martina Cole. I mean, I don't know, you know, I mean, obviously she's a very big author, but for those who haven't heard of her, she's a kind of crime novelist. And oh, it was such a brilliant podcast. She was so interesting. I mean, obviously she is a storyteller, you know, by the very nature of the fact she's an author, so that kind of helped because she was obviously very entertaining. I prefer that because it kind of goes then with this piece here. Yeah, so I mean, obviously kind of her way of kind of talking was just very entertaining, and you know, had a kind of story going on. But she just seemed such a down-to-earth lady, just like she could be kind of the woman next door. Do you know what I mean? Just the lady from down the road. She just seemed so, just normal, just very, very normal. And yeah, really nice lady. So that's one. If you're into podcasts and Desert Island Disc podcasts, Martina Cole, would recommend that one. I did say a couple of weeks ago, I think, or a few videos back, the other one that I've listened to recently was Tom Kerridge, the chef, and he was absolutely lovely. So his is another one. Sorry, right. So I think that's kind of done now. I like how that page looks. It looks really pretty. So going on kind of further from there. So I've got this piece, obviously, that we've, you know, that I just kind of made on the sewing machine, and I've just got some ivory card here. I'm just going to pop it on literally to kind of make a little folding kind of piece there. So this is more or less the same size as the card. So what I'm going to do is just snip it down slightly so as we've got a bit of a kind of edge. So I'm just going to kind of cut it down a bit. Oops, I think that's a bit wonky. Cut it down a little bit on this side as well. Just see how that looks. So it's just got, you know, the tiniest kind of edge really around that, but I think that looks quite nice, and you know, just kind of adds a little something, doesn't it? Kind of having that nice edge. So I'm just going to glue that down. So just using the wet glue. Trying to make sure I have gone nice and close to the edges. There we go. Right, I'm just going to stand up so as I can kind of look down on this and make sure I get it kind of in the right place. Okay. So again, just grab my tissue just to kind of press it down and get any kind of excess glue that might kind of seep out. Like that. that. Okay, so that looks really pretty, I think. And then what we could do is, again, kind of have some binding or something going around it. Now, I did use some binding on something else, I think. Just checking what... Right, we used that thick blue. So I've got that here to the side. So might use that again, because then we're just kind of sticking with the same themes, really. Which, you know... I mean, some people probably think really boring, but I quite like kind of the same kind of thing going on. So just tie that round there. Again, just snip that off. Okay. And then I'm just going to glue that down on the back so as it's kind of fixed into place. Like that, whoops, like that. Okay, so while I'm waiting for this to dry, I'm just going to kind of pop it to one side, because if I glue it straight down onto the page, obviously it's going to, you know, stick down where that is. So whilst I'm waiting for that to dry, I just thought we'd kind of, you know, do a little bit with those pages which I had shrunk down, which I think I showed in the first or second episode, or not episode, sorry, video where we've been doing this book. So these pages I've shrunk down. I can't remember what size I'd shrunk them down by. It might have been 50%. It was, you know, a little while ago, I'm afraid, so I can't actually remember kind of what size I'd shrunk them down by. But so I've got these two pages, and all I'm going to do is, and I won't be able to do this on video, I'm afraid, because obviously my sewing machine's not here, but I've got, obviously they're identical, same size. I'm just going to pop them together, and I'm just going to stitch them on the sewing machine down here, and then probably down the middle. So if I kind of fold them over to kind of demonstrate a bit how I'm going to do them. So folding them over there. And then they'll be stitched here and then down the middle, or I might stitch them kind of as more like a pocket. I haven't quite decided yet. And this will be like a little kind of opening fold out pocket booklet, if that makes sense. So it will obviously have a pocket here in this side, and it will have a pocket here in this side. So I hope this is making sense. So then obviously this could be glued down on a page, which I think is really rather nice, having kind of the same patterned paper inside and out. Or obviously you could kind of have it in a pocket as a pull-out item, which, you know, actually might be even nicer. So that's kind of what I'm going to do with that one, because I thought that would be really lovely. So I'm going to just put that to one side so I remember to take that down and actually stitch that on the sewing machine. And then what I thought we'd do with this one, that again I've obviously shrunk down, is I just thought we would make a pocket like the pockets obviously that come with the kits and things. So all I'm going to do is kind of cut it down to a sort of rough size. So I'm going to kind of snip it, I think, about here. Like that. And then all I'm going to do is fold over, obviously one edge, because all we're doing here is just creating a kind of much bigger, you know, thicker kind of pocket that you can get kind of more in. And then I'm just going to fold it down here. So, and I guess this is kind of showing that, you know, if you buy one of the smaller kits that don't have the pockets and what have you, you know, you can just kind of make your own by just kind of doing this type of thing. So we'll just fold that over at the bottom. Like that. Is that kind of straight at the bottom? Hopefully it's straight. straight. I'm not sure whether it is quite straight, but just fold it up slightly more. Right, so hopefully that's straight. And then all I'm going to do here is I'm going to snip out the corners like that, and then I'm just going to snip that one in as well. And I mean, actually what you could have done was snip straight across like that, and then that's kind of pretty much perfect for how you want it to be. So either way, you know, is absolutely fine. And then obviously that's quite a deep pocket, which is fine. You could leave it as a deep pocket, or you could obviously cut it down and kind of have it as a smaller pocket, depending on the size that you like it, which was my intention. But strangely enough, now I'm seeing it as a larger pocket, you know, a taller one. I actually quite like that, because it's a little bit different to kind of, sorry, my carrier bag's hitting my leg there, or my leg is hitting the bag. So I actually quite like that, because it's a little bit different to kind of what we normally do. Now I've grabbed my, you know, 1-inch hole punch to put a thumb hole in. I just want to check that I want to do that, because I have not been putting the thumb holes so often in my kits lately, because often I quite like topping the pockets with some lace, and obviously if they've got the thumb hole, you can't really do that. So if you can kind of picture that with a thumb hole, then obviously the lace would have to go kind of elsewhere on the pocket. So I'm just going to kind of check how I like it best. So for me, I quite like that with the lace at the top, I think. So I'm not going to actually pop the thumb hole on there. So let me just get rid of my hole punch again. Oops, try not to knock everything off the shelf. It's just precariously balanced on top of a ball of string. Right, so we're going to do it like that. So I'm just going to kind of glue this across the top. I'll just use my hot glue just for speed. Okay. Right, so I quite like how that looks. But I mean, obviously you can always pop other things on as well. I don't know whether it actually needs anything else. You know, I really quite like it as it is. But obviously we have got lots of words and things like that in this kit, so we could just pop a word on. And as always, my kind of more is more. More is more is kind of happening here. So again, I think it does look nicer with that on there. I have got some lace, so we could kind of pop it onto some lace. I've either got that lovely kind of dark blue colour, which obviously brings the blue in a little bit more, or we could have it on some white, or we could have it without lace. So let me just cut that lace kind of down. I quite like that, I think, yeah. So I just want to check where I'm going to put this in the book, because my plan was to put this one really here. Well, actually, I think my plan was to put it on this side. So if that's going on there, and then I just want to see where roughly I'm going to put this in the book before committing to that, because depending on the kind of arrangement of the paint, you know, might depend on whether or not I actually kind of go for this or not. So, right, I was going to go for it here. I'm not going to, because I've got this piece, which I will probably stick onto this page. So, just going to kind of go back through. So I might have it on this page, I think. Yeah, I think I'm going to have it on there. So if I just kind of, again, weigh that down with that. So I'll just kind of glue this one. And just glue it like that. Okay, so that looks nice. And then just see whether we want to have any flowers or anything. Maybe like that, kind of a nice flower kind of almost coming out of the pocket, I think looks quite pretty. So I'm going to probably glue this on with wet glue, I think, because obviously I've only got these kind of quite delicate folds. So let's hold that down like that. We'll just do this one. There we go. Okay. Oops. So if we just kind of have it here. So I'll just press that down for a couple of minutes. Now I was really hoping that my new ink pad I had ordered actually almost 2 weeks ago now would have arrived. It was in that Azure Stays On, which I'd ordered really actually for my very vintage journal that I've also been working on at the same time. And yeah, it still hasn't arrived. So I actually contacted them a couple of days ago. I've had no response. So I contacted them again yesterday, you know, via email. Again, no response so far. I also tried phoning them yesterday. It just went to voicemail. So I'm not entirely convinced I'm ever actually going to get my order, but I obviously will update you if I do. I hope that I do, because you know, well, I'd be disappointed if I don't, because I've been waiting for 2 weeks. And you know, you kind of, I don't know whether it's somewhere that I haven't ever ordered from before. I won't mention their names in case this is just a blip and it all arrives and is all fine. But yeah, feeling a little bit kind of irritated at the moment that that's not arrived, because you know, I could have obviously ordered it from somewhere else, but I don't want to now reorder it, because no doubt if I do, it will then suddenly arrive and I'll end up with 2 of them. And as they seem to last for years and years and years, well, my last one certainly did, you know, I then won't be able to get through it. So oh, I don't know. Right, so I like how that looks pretty, I think. Again, we could obviously kind of have some sort of ruffle or anything on there. I mean, that's quite nice, kind of running down the side. Oops. Like that. Or maybe a kind of skinnier one. That one's quite wide, or obviously I could trim that one down. I have also got that patterned ruffle, which I think we pulled this in another time, which maybe would look quite pretty on here. Oops. Oh, come on, it's all fiddly and kind of twisted round. Oh, that's quite nice on there, isn't it? I love this fabric, isn't it pretty? It's just some really cheap fabric from a shop here called The Works, and I think it was Fat Quarters, if I recall. I've had it for a really long time, and I've only used it very occasionally, but I do absolutely love it. It's just so pretty. And it came, I think, in various different colours, if I remember rightly. So there were a few different kind of coloured ones. Right, so what I'm going to do is just run some glue just down the edge halfway, first of all, to get it kind of in position, because it's very twisted up. and then I can obviously glue the rest down now. But where it was very twisted, I didn't want to kind of do it in one length because I'm going to start gluing it down twisted. There we go. And then that end, as you can see, kind of where it finishes, I don't know whether to cut that off and kind of leave it just hanging loose. I quite like it just hanging loose for some reason. I think it's kind of nice like that. So I'm going to, I think, just leave it like that. So love how that looks. And then, oh, there's a butterfly, look. Like just pop on a butterfly on the facing page. Again, just kind of have something on there so it's not completely plain. Oops. I've glued a piece of hair in there. Right. I'll just glue this down. And I've said this before, I mean, I always like to just kind of glue them with their wings flapping a little bit. So, like that. Okay. Oh, I must have not glued that one in. I thought I had. And actually, we've hardly used any bling in this journal so far, so I might have to add a bit of bling somewhere on here. I don't know why that's been the case. I don't know why, whether I've just been forgetting it or whether I just think the pages look quite nice. It doesn't need it. I don't think they probably do need it, but having said that, I always do love it. So I might just have to add a little bit in a couple of places here and there. So just add some here, I think. That. Oops. Oh, now I've got those glue threads everywhere. Oh gosh, now I've twisted that completely lopsided. Okay, hopefully that's kind of straight. And then we could have one opposite on the butterfly, but then that seems strange that we've hardly got any throughout the whole journal and then we've suddenly got it everywhere on this page. So I won't do that yet, but I might go back through the journal once I've finished it and kind of add some bling in various places. I think so far this is my favourite page. I just love how this looks. I don't know why, but just, yeah, for some reason I love it. Right, so we were doing this page, weren't we? Let me check what the time is. Right, 33 minutes. Please. No. Right. So I've just popped that at a kind of curve down there, which I think looks quite pretty. And then I might just kind of pop in something like that just on that page, I think. Let me just have a look. Yeah, I think it's best over here. Okay. It's not been anything much on at the cinema recently, so that's all a bit boring. Or, you know, nothing much that I've fancied watching anyway. Lots of those kind of Marvel-y type films I've noticed of late, and they're not really my cup of tea, to be honest, so I haven't really been going much. Right. So I like how that page looks, and you know, looks nice and pretty. So I'm going to obviously stitch this kind of booklet thing that we talked about, and I will probably have it as an insert, I think, in one of the pockets in the sides of the pages. But I think that's going to look really kind of pretty. So yeah, I will see you another time for another video. It will either be, you know, another kind of craft with me, or it will be obviously the flip through of this. I'm not quite sure kind of which it will be, but hope that you enjoyed the video, and thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Thanks then, bye.